Great. Hi, everyone. It's really fantastic to have this opportunity to talk about the stage management program here at Columbia University. I am Michael Passaro. My pronouns are he, him. I am coming to you from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Lenape people. I wanted to add a little bit to this, and in a big acknowledgement to the nursing school here at Columbia University, that Lenape means real person. It means original person. It also means collectively a community. So I thought that was a really beautiful explanation from the nursing school, and so profoundly connected to what we do as theater practitioners, and particularly as stage managers. We are, of course, about the individual, and of course about the community of people that we are working with on any given occasion or in any given production. I can do about 10 minutes of stand-up here, so to speak, about the program, sharing some screens and some information, which I'm also happy to share with any of you directly if you email me. And I'm going to put my email address in the chat here. Excuse me, I've just got to wear my glasses. So that if after this conversation that we have, and after you might look at this video again, if you're so inclined, if you have any questions about anything regarding the stage management program here, I am happy to do individual outreach or individual sessions with you to answer any of your specific questions to your own for your own experience. But just to start here, just give me a second here. And Kenny, you'll manage the waiting room?
I got it.
Great. Perfect. Oh, I love it. It's a great act we've got going here. Let me just share screen and do this. So I'm sure that many of you have seen this landing page at the Columbia University School of the Arts website about the stage management concentration. And I'm very happy to say that this is updated every year in terms of information, in terms of the thematic arc of the program, in terms of our faculty, and in terms of having a chance to meet some of the folks who are studying here in the class of 2024, who's graduating next year. The class of 2025, and our most recent incoming class, the class of 2026. We have information about some notable alumni. I'm only allowed to put this number of people on this website. I could probably double or triple it with some of the incredible achievements that our alumni have gone on to incorporate into their practice after they've graduated here from Columbia. But if you look over here, where is it here? News and events, course requirements. This gives a very good idea of what is required of you, sort of a Google Maps view, the view from 35,000 feet. What we're talking about here today, you might consider the Google Street View a little more detailed. And then if you want to have another conversation with me directly, you'll get additional detail as well. But the course requirements here in this tab, the program is divided into 3 years. Year 1 lists here all of your course requirements, electives and optional classes, field studies, internships, required credits, and in year 2, same thing. It also includes our rehearsal and production requirements for your second year, some of which are now actually starting in the first year as of this year. And year 3 is what we're calling a research arts year. There are no classes that you enroll in And because of that, there are no classes that you pay for. So the third year is vastly less expensive than years 1 and 2. But the third year is for completing any production requirements that are part of the curriculum, also for completing your own written or project-based thesis for the stage management concentration directly. And so that's, again, I think it's a very good a summary of what we have in terms of the program requirements. And then you can also meet some of our adjunct faculty here, all of whom are working professionals in the theater or the entertainment industry. Every single one of these people has a job in the theater, in television, in management. Jacqueline Reed, we're so happy to welcome her to the faculty this year. She is the production stage manager at the New York City Ballet. So it is the #1 hallmark of the program here. If you are coming to Columbia University to study stage management, you will study with professors who are actually doing the work. And then, of course, you can continue on here and meet our incredible, fabulous humans here who are actually in the program. Each class gets a picture and a bio and information about, you can download resumes as well. We offer this site not only to the world in general, but for people who are looking to hire stage managers. I can point them to this website and say, hey, take a look at the incredible students we have here now, and you can download their resumes if they've offered that, if they've chosen to include that within their bio. Other things that I can tell you about in this session and can dive into a little more with a little more specificity, based on any questions and answers that you have today or beyond, are what does a day in the life of a stage manager look like here? So I'm going to show you. Let's see here. Sorry, I was talk to myself. My students laugh at me about this, but share. Okay. So, so this here is this is the fall schedule for. I'm sorry, this is spring. So let's go to the fall. So this is the fall schedule for stage managers in terms of the required curriculum, the required stage management courses here. And so you can see for the first years, they have a class on Monday mornings, on Tuesday mornings, Wednesday afternoons, Friday mornings, and Friday afternoons. It's essentially built so that there is some time off in every day, if possible, not always possible. So for example, on Fridays, they do have a fuller day in terms of classes, but the classes are either in morning or afternoon blocks. The evenings are reserved for rehearsals if you're working on productions. And we have very specified parameters in terms of the number of hours, excuse me, that productions are allowed to rehearse. It's 128 hours over the course of 5 weeks, which includes tech. So stage managers are responsible for trying to make sure that their directors and creative teams are adhering to those parameters. And those were set up with very specific goals in mind, in that the daily and hourly and weekly parameters for rehearsals are really modeled after the Actors Equity Showcase Code. So to that end, our production experiences here, especially for the stage managers, really intend to mirror a real world experience in terms of what you might find in terms of your tasks, in terms of your roles and responsibilities, once you leave the iron gates here at Columbia. Then here's the spring schedule, which is a little more complicated. It looks like there are not a lot of classes on here, but there really are. And in fact, we are trying something brand new in the spring semester this year, which I'm really excited about, which is a 4-credit course in collaboration, in which all of the students in the different concentrations here, and there are 6 of them: acting, directing, dramaturgy, playwriting, managing and producing, and stage management. All of the second year and some of the first year students will be working together on a series of new plays written by the second year playwrights, so that the playwrights are writing the plays, the stage managers are stage managing them, the producers and managers are producing and managing them, the directors are directing them, the actors are acting in them, the dramaturgs are supporting the productions in the way that only a dramaturg can. So it's a little more complicated. We made very intentional scheduling choices, especially for the first year students. You see all of their classes are in the morning in the spring semester, so that they have time to either recharge in the afternoon or work on some of these collaborative efforts that we're trying for the spring semester. So let me just do that. I'll talk a little bit about the admissions process now. Kenny, remind me, when are the packages due? January 5th, is that right?
January 3rd at 11:59 p.m. New York time.
January 3rd, yes. Any questions that you have about what is needed for that admissions packet, today would be a good day to talk about those if you have any. Once we receive them at the deadline, myself and 2 other faculty members review them fairly quickly. We come up with a short list of applicants that we would like to invite to go to the next phase, which is the interview process. We have been doing the interviews by Zoom because it is one of the lemonade from lemons from the pandemic period that we can actually, have folks participate in an experiential interview without having to have the, onerous travel requirements or expense associated with coming to the university. Now, that's also to say that if you happen to be in the tri-state area here or happen to be coming to New York at the time that we are holding interviews, also during the interview phase, you'll have an opportunity to observe a class in session. Many of the adjunct faculty know that in the spring semester, we ask them to open up their classes whenever possible to folks who are interested in a peer-to-peer session with students who are in the program. I think it's wildly important that if you are considering coming here to Columbia, that we try to open up our classrooms and open up access to our students so that you can see what you're potentially coming to study, how we organize our classes, and what the student perspective is. Possible from the students, so that you can have as much information as possible if we then get to the phase where we invite you to come to begin your studies here in the fall of 2024. So, Kenny, am I missing anything on that might be pertinent to this part of the conversation?
No, I think you covered everything.
Great. I am happy to take questions now, and I'm happy to take them in the chat. or if you would like to offer into the conversation through the Zoom system with your microphone, that's fine as well. Whatever is easiest for any of you who are here.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Mallory. She, her. Sorry, internet's really bad. I guess some of the questions I really have, like I love y'all's program. One of the things I was interested in was I guess the amount of shows we get to work. So I remember in the informational meeting y'all had, y'all talked about chances to ASM and production management. I was wondering if you could talk just a little bit more on like how all of that works.
Sure. Well, I hate to answer a question with a question, but can you tell me, are you in an undergrad program now for stage managing?
Yes, I'm an undergrad.
And do you have an opportunity to work on as many projects as you want? Are you assigned to them, or do you get to have some agency over what productions you work on?
Yeah, so I'm on a quarter system at Louisiana Tech. We do 3 shows a quarter with our theater department, and we send in letters of intent, and then our faculty will like review it and then assign us positions based off of that.
Well, it's we sort of open up that methodology here a little bit. We do an enormous amount of production. I think we're doing 70 productions this year between the fall and spring semester alone. The spring semester is particularly, robust in terms of production opportunities. But to answer your question more specifically, the stage managers are required to complete 6 or 7 productions over the course of 3 years, which is a minimum. Many of them choose to work on others. Many of them start to make collaborations and relationships with directors and playwrights early on here, and they want to sort of work with them, as much as possible, even if it's outside their required curriculum arc, so to speak. We at the moment it's 7 required productions for the incoming class, which are 3 ASM production, 3 productions as an ASM, which are non-credit based, meaning you have to do them, but it's not part of course credit. And then there are 3 course credit requirements under a course title named Rehearsal and Production. So they are a directing project of some sort. They are a classic project of some sort, ideally a Chekhov or a Shakespeare, and both the actors and the directors have classes in both. And the third is a new playwrights festival. So the third-year playwrights write brand new plays that are showcased, and the stage managers are required to work on one of those in their stage manager's second year, playwrights third year. Those 3, as I said, are 4 credit courses under Rehearsal and Production, 3 credits each. You are required to turn in a full electronic production book. You are required to write a 5 to 7 page reflective essay. And those are the productions that myself and our adjunct professor, Linda Marvel, have a chance to see you in practice, advise you in practice, work with the other concentrations in practice, because there's, the stage managers work with everyone in the room, not just themselves. So, and those are graded and part of your course requirements over during the first 2 years. And then the 7th is in your 3rd year, and that's either working on a director's thesis project or an actor's thesis project. In which, again, it's not credit bearing, but it's required for you to complete the program here. But as I said, students can work on many, as much as their energy and schedules allow, and they find ways to do it. I'm always amazed at how they kind of, sneak in extra things to do. So.
Thank you.
Hope that answers your question.
It does, yeah.
Great.
I have a couple if it's cool if I keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. I suspect, as usual with these info sessions, that many people have the same question. So please feel free to continue.
Okay. This might not be more coursework related. I come from a very like community-based department, and that's something that like I really value from being here. And I was wondering day to day, I guess, how y'all communicate or spend time together while working, but then not getting tired of each other and etc. etc.
Well, that's a great question. A really great question. I mean, all of the first year stage managers take classes with the first year stage managers. That's part of how and then same with the second years. There are many opportunities, not only, but there's many opportunities in production for those cohorts to be working together in small groups or larger groups. And it's one of the reasons that we have come up with actually two big new ideas for the spring semester in terms of collaboration. One of them I talked about a little bit earlier, which is putting all of the students who are in the program to work together on actually making, theater projects. The other one that we're doing in the spring semester is all of the first year students. The first week of classes is going to be sort of a mini lab version of that collaboration where the playwrights are going to write 10-minute plays about very specific topics. Stage managers stage managing them. There's parameters around how much technical elements they can have, and between Tuesday of the first week of classes and Saturday, this first year group will create 6 10-minute plays for the faculty's viewing pleasure. So the classes are also there are numerous workshops that we have over the course of a year where we ask the students to try to make room in their schedules if they can, and that's an opportunity for those stage management classes to work together or be in a room with folks other than their cohort.
So those workshops, it's more opportunities. So could one of the workshops be for intimacy directing or stage combat?
Well, there is a part of the orientation schedule for all incoming students into the theater department is a fairly deep orientation session about intimacy, both physical and emotional intimacy and combat. But to your question, Mallory, I am thinking about adding additional coursework specifically for the stage managers that would be starting in the fall of 2024, the spring of 2025, because we, as I'm sure any of you here know, it is one of the training intentions that I think is going to be most beneficial to have some real practice with here in the in the university setting, so that you feel you are prepared for what you might encounter in professional settings or settings outside of the university. It's something that the students have asked for, and it's something that we've been trying to kind of figure out in a way that every year there's more and more attention paid to both intimacy and combat. So, for example, 2 years ago, that orientation session was, very sort of superficial, to be honest. It has since become quite in-depth, quite experiential, and quite hands-on is not the right word, but role playing and having an opportunity to actually practice and not just hear somebody lecture about it.
Yeah, thank you. That answers a whole lot. I like I've been trying to get more involved with the intimacy directing, if not just observing. So it's always something I'm kind of looking out for. So I never get a chance to see that too much. So that's pretty cool to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, and to the point of how do we kind of communicate with each other? I will say that the 6 concentration heads, who work here are really aligned in terms of, what in my day was called team teaching. We really do. Yes, I'm the head of the stage manager's concentration, but if I have numerous conversations with directors and playwrights and the acting faculty about what might be best in terms of supporting their disciplines, because as as stage managers, we are in the middle of the organizational chart, and we are relating to anybody. Sooner or later we're going to have a relationship with everybody who's working on a production. So we really do have conversations all the time. The acting faculty on an acting project will write to me saying, I observed this in rehearsal. How can we support the stage managers to make sure that they're getting what they need in terms of communication with actors? It happens all the time. So it's a really tight-knit group in terms of that aspect of your education as well, which is why we support. We commit to that kind of teaching, and we expect in return that students will be willing to receive feedback from a concentration advisor who may not be their own.
So regarding receiving feedback, I know you talked about how rehearsal processes, prompt books, and stuff will be graded. How do y'all go about grading those?
We get the stage manager reports and the schedules every day, and if there's we don't have a prescribed template here for stage managers. We want them to create their own, as long as it adheres to sort of standard things that would be in a stage manager's report. So so we allow students to create their own. We then go through the templates and sort of make sure it has all the information in them. When schedules and reports come through to us, Linda and I look at them, and if we have any comments on them about clarity, about appropriateness in the report, we will bring that back to the students one-on-one. And in terms of in the tech process, Linda and I are in the room at some point during the tech process so that we can advise in the moment about methods that may work better, just in terms of keeping the room on track, communicating. How do you ask questions of a lighting designer if you don't understand something? We try to give it as much of an in the moment advisement as possible. And then at the end, we'll want to look at a blocking script, a calling script, and see it organized in a way that you would put into an archive, let's say, if you were working at a regional theater. There's a method to our madness. Some of the students ask, well, why do we have to do that? Well, that's because that is what it would be required of you if you were working at the Guthrie, if you were working at the Goodman Theater in Chicago or wherever. So we want to make sure that you have that skill in your toolbox before you graduate from here. And we provide, Linda does most of it, but it's extensive feedback, on calendars, what's clear, what's not, suggestions on formatting, suggestions on using color coding, blocking. Really the responses back are usually like 4 or 5 pages long. She really goes through everything with a fine-tooth comb.
Well, thank you. I think it covers most of my general questions. So thank you so much.
And as I said to you and to anybody else here, I know it's sometimes hard to be kind of put on the spot, and then you think of questions afterwards. I implore you to reach out to me personally with anything else that might come up. Does anyone else have anything for the group now? And it's perfectly okay if you do not.
Hi. Sorry, can you hear me?
I can. We can.
Okay, great. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. Yeah,
worries.
thank you, Mallory, for asking so many great questions. That was really helpful. And thank you guys for your responses. They were very insightful. And I'm really excited to be here. You said
Great.
70 productions, and that just absolutely blew my mind. I guess one of my questions is just like, what kind of resources are available for stage management students? Or I guess more on the logistics side is what kind of like support system is there in place for stresses that are like associated with stage management? Is that
Well, we are actively in the classrooms, more than one, but one in particular that's taught by Justin Scribner, really coming to understand that the stresses on stage managers make great demands on the soul. And we need to acknowledge that, and we need to provide space and time and resources for trying to support and remedy those things whenever we can. Justin Scribner teaches in both of his classes in the first and the second semester an enormous amount of modules and time on wellness and self-care for stage managers. And then in terms of how we try to apply that theory in practice is first of all, by really intentional scheduling of the stage managers to make sure that they are not running from, that they have time for their classes, that they have time to do homework or whatever for the classes, and they're not running from production to production to production. The schedule for the spring semester was created very intentionally with that in mind. And in fact, not all of the productions are going to be supported by stage managers, to be perfectly honest, in the spring semester, because there are too many of them. And I, frankly, refused to have anybody doing more than 2 productions in a semester, given their classroom assignments as well. Now, to the flip side of that is that this is a rigorous graduate level program at an Ivy League school. I don't know how else to say it, any other way than that. It is rigorous. You are being taught and working with professional stage managers who are going to train you for the world of the theater as it exists now. And for someone who has been in that world for many, many, many years, I can tell you it is changing. It is changing for the better for all of the reasons that I'm sure you can think of yourself, but it's also changing in terms of health and wellness for stage managers. It's not changing fast enough. It will never change fast enough. We're only moving the needle a tiny bit every year, but you look back after 5 years, we've moved the needle a little bit more. But we are balancing the fact that we must support our stage managers, our student stage managers in that regard, but also have to recognize that the world you're graduating into is demanding, and you have to learn time management here. It's a very personal thing. It's going to intersect with your own lived experience, your own personality, many, many, many other things, as is health and wellness, as is self-care. What might be self-care for me may not work for you. So the idea behind introducing this into the classes is to start figuring out a methodology that works for you, right? So for example, someone is in production right now, had a final presentation for my class, told me, I really need time this morning to essentially get myself together. And you know what? That's fine. This person can, do their final presentation by Zoom for me, for the class to satisfy the requirements of the course and the final assignment, and also have the time for herself, for themselves to make sure that they are walking into that rehearsal room later in the day and trying to be their best self as possible. So it's curated to individual students' needs, with the overarching theme that we get it and we want to make it better.
Thank you so much. That was really nice to hear.
And don't let the 70 productions freak you out, because it's somehow they're scheduled. It's in many different spaces, and they're scheduled in such a way that there's always something going on. But it's not. We've worked really, really, really hard, especially for the stage managers, to make sure that they're not going crazy.
Whoever makes that schedule, my hat's off to them.
I mean, yeah, yes, my hat's off to them too, if I wore a hat. Great question, great question. Anybody else? What is the, okay. Moira, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. What is the working relationship like between students and faculty? Well, one of the things I'll say is that all of the classes are really seminar style. We sit around a table. There are 7 students in the first year, 9 in the second year, 8 in the third year. So it's not lecture style classes where there's a huge gap or separation between you and your teachers, and all of the classes are taught like that. And I think that's a really important kind of physical manifestation of the fact that the relationship between students and faculty is quite close in terms of not only imparting theory and practice in the classroom, but it's quite close in terms of feedback. And in terms of having, in terms of feedback and in terms of support, so that I feel it's another hallmark of the program that a student can come to me or any of the faculty and say, hey, I'm having not a great day. How can I, satisfy my course requirements and still have time for myself? We open that conversation up and hope that among many other things, is sort of a kind of a mile marker in terms of how the faculty relates to students. Anybody else? Kenny, anything you want to add?
Nothing on my end. I was just gonna give like the make sure students know the deadline. And also financial aid. If you want to be considered for financial aid, please be sure to say yes to being considered for scholarship funding in the application for admission. And you'll also have to submit a separate financial aid application, which is due February 1st. So you just have to go back to the application system and start a new application and select the 2024 financial aid. And there's going to be a bunch of questions in there that we'll be asking to assess your need.
And again, it's not it's an honest statement. Please email me. Please email me. I want to get to know any applicants as much as I have come to know the students when they're here, because the more that we can curate this experience for you in terms of the application process, it's again another hallmark of how I think that we really try to have a program that has standards and metrics and requirements and goals and learning intentions and all those things, but allows the individual student to flourish here as best as possible. I say this with exactly zero amount of irony. There's really only one way to stage manage, and that's your way. And that means to me that this program is first about finding out about who you are as a human being and as a stage manager. And then we layer on, standards and things that you can pick and choose from that work best for you. You have to be able to answer to your own methodologies in terms of paperwork and your own methodologies in terms of leadership. So that's why it's a very personal journey here. So the more that we can honor that, even during the application process, I think the better off any one of you might be, should you choose to come here. Okay.
Right. I think
Thank you all
it.
for your time.
Yeah.
As another feature of our program, I have to go get to a show now. So it's 6:10 here, so I gotta get downtown by as close to 6:30 as possible. So thank you so much for your time. And as I said, please feel free to reach out to me with any questions or concerns about the application, about the program here. I'll send you anything that you ask me for in terms of class descriptions, schedules, things like that, so you can really get a sense of the kind of things we're talking about in the classroom here.
Thank you, Michael. And you know, Michael is super responsive to emails. I can personally attest to that. But if you also need, if you have also have any, you know, general questions, you can also email the General School of the Arts admissions email, which is soaadmissions@columbia.edu, and we answer right away as well. So yeah, please email either one of those emails. And thank you so much,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody. I hope to see your applications on January 3rd or thereabouts. Talk to you soon.